Well, this is sure to piss Donald Trump off. A Fox News host is publicly calling out Trump and MAGA for their double standards with regards to presidential pardons after Trump claimed on 60 Minutes that he had no idea that he pardoned a corrupt crypto mogul. Pretty shocking, but before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, it's rare and always fun when a Fox News host gets into a quarrel with Donald Trump and criticizes Trump. That's what's happening. As Mediaite reports, Fox News host calls out double standard of Biden auto pen backlash after Trump admits to not knowing billionaire he pardoned. Take a look. Fox News host Guy Benson called for Donald Trump to receive more scrutiny for admitting to pardoning a man he didn't even know on Monday. Last month, Binance co-founder Changpeng Zhao, commonly referred to as CZ, received a pardon from the Trump administration. Zhao pled guilty in 2023 for, quote, failing to sufficiently combat money laundering on his crypto exchange. He was sentenced to 4 months in prison. When pressed about the pardon during the most recent episode of 60 Minutes, Trump claimed he had no idea who he was. Now, again, we've discussed this in previous videos, but this is what Guy Benson of Fox News had to say. If we care about Biden's auto pen scandal on pardons and commutations, we should. Shouldn't this answer from POTUS on this set of facts draw scrutiny and concern? Oversight shouldn't be selectively partisan and reflexively tribal by either side. So that's a Fox News host saying, hey, if we take this at face value, we should all be calling this out. And if you're a Trump supporter, you should be calling this out because we should hold presidents to one standard. So shockingly, it seems that we have a Fox News host who believes, at least in this moment, a single standard. It'll be interesting to see if other Fox News hosts follow suit. Let's gauge some of the reaction to this. On Twitter, Biden and Trump have proven we need to remove the pardon power from the exclusive purview of the executive. It should be a panel of POTUS, Vice POTUS, Speaker, Chief Justice, and Senate Majority Leader, rotating chairman every year who controls the calendar and what's voted on. That seems extremely unlikely because you'd need a constitutional amendment to do that. It's Article 2 of the Constitution, which grants the pardon power to the president. Oh, man, pretending the right cares about principles instead of punishing their enemies is totes adorbs guy. Kisses. Somebody points out neither one violates the Constitution, though. The only real oversight that can be done is hearings to try to make the public care. Since the public isn't likely to care, the best way to deal with these concerns is to focus on amending the Constitution, which we should do. Except, again, that's not going to happen. You need 2/3 of both chambers of Congress and 3/4 of the states. Yes, except for the fact that Trump is most likely lying while Biden was not. That makes this a scandal for different reasons, although troubling nonetheless. I don't disagree, but I would submit that Trump claiming ignorance about the pardon of Changpeng Zhao is probably an outright lie, again, because of its own issue. The pardon gives the president the immense power to override the decisions and actions of the other two branches with no check. It is the weight of the entire U.S. government concentrating in the literal hand of one person and should require verifiably conscious action and gravitas. Now, again, the pardon is actually one of the few checks that the president has directly against the judiciary. In theory, I don't have an issue with the pardon. I really don't, because sometimes the judiciary does get it wrong. How many people have we wrongfully imprisoned, wrongfully executed? But an absolute pardon, like notions of preemptive pardons, I hate that. I loathe the idea. I understand why President Biden did it, and he wasn't the first one to do a preemptive pardon. President Nixon, or President Ford, in his pardon of President Nixon, that was a preemptive pardon. Preemptive pardons are a joke. Self-pardons are a joke. None of that should be accepted. Advanced pardons for sweeping things, like it should be, I can pardon you for a very specific crime after you are not only prosecuted, but convicted. Pardon should only be eligible for those who are convicted, but I digress. The bottom line is the Constitution does give sweeping pardon power to Trump. And that's the thing. Like, nobody denies that Trump had the right to pardon this guy. But he took one scandal, which was a scandal of corruption, pay to play, and then he added another layer of scandal on top of it by saying, I know it looks corrupt and pay to play, but actually it's a different sort of scandal because I had no fucking clue who the guy was, which is, again, ironic because of the auto pen scandal. So CNN is writing on this as well. The GOP claimed Biden didn't know whom he was pardoning. Now Trump says he doesn't know whom he's pardoning. This is by Aaron Blake. House Republicans issued a report last week suggesting Joe Biden really wasn't calling the shots as president, and they argued that his presidential pardons epitomized this dynamic. Biden appeared so disengaged from the process, the House Oversight Committee's report claimed, that it called into question, quote, the validity of all pardons reportedly granted by him. House Speaker Mike Johnson later said Biden mass pardoned people without knowing, quote, what the categories were, apparently, much less the individual people that he pardoned. But Donald Trump now says he doesn't know much about one of his own most controversial recent pardons, that of CZ, founder of the cryptocurrency exchange Binance. Trump also emphasized he was relying on things people around him said. Quote, I don't know who he is. There's a Biden witch hunt. Back on October 23rd, Trump offered similar comments. When pressed on the pardon by CNN's Caitlin Collins, Trump didn't seem to know whom Collins was talking about, despite the pardon having been issued the very same day. Quote, "Oh, the recent one, yes," Trump said when Collins refreshed his memory. Quote, "I believe we're talking about the same person because I do pardon a lot of people." In fact, Zhao was the only person Trump had pardoned that week. So again, contradictions there. Is he senile? Is he just a puppet? The hell's going on? The GOP's fixation on Biden and his use of the auto pen has long strained the known facts. The argument seems to be that Biden's actions were invalid because he supposedly wasn't making the decisions. But Trump keeps complicating that message by disclaiming his own role and knowledge of major decisions, the kind of things a president should be aware of. It's not just pardons, he's done it repeatedly with major foreign policy decisions. While Trump has pardoned an extraordinary number of allies and Republicans, the Zhao pardon is on a different level because of the seeming personal conflicts of interest involved. It's controversial because Binance is the cryptocurrency exchange that hosts the Trump family's crypto firm, World Liberty Financial. The pardon could allow it to operate in the U.S. again. Binance has also been a significant platform for the sale of World Liberty Financial's proprietary tokens, which have netted the Trump family hundreds of millions of dollars in fees. Again, I want to be clear. Hundreds of millions of dollars in fees simply just trading and exchanging the cryptocurrency gets the Trump family and Donald Trump himself a lot of fucking money. In other words, Binance has helped and could help the Trump family make a lot of money, and Trump has pardoned someone who plays a significant role in that. For these reasons, the pardon has earned comparisons to some of the most controversial pardons in modern history, including former President Bill Clinton's pardon of billionaire fugitive Mark Rich after Rich's ex-wife donated to Democrats. And by the way, this is again substantially worse, given the scale of what we're talking about. But to hear Trump tell it, he made this monumental decision without really digging into the situation himself. He's repeatedly suggested he was basically doing what others urged him to do. Quote, "I have no idea who he was. I was told that he was a victim, just like I was, and like many other people, of a vicious, horrible group of people in the Biden administration. Well, here's the thing. I know nothing because I'm too busy." Back on October 23rd, the day of the pardon, Trump said, quote, "I don't know him. I don't believe I've ever met him, but I've been told he had a lot of support, and they said what he did was not even a crime," which again was really stupid because it was a crime. He was not only prosecuted for the crime, he pled guilty to the crime. So objectively, 100%, without any ambiguity whatsoever, what he did was in fact criminal. That's the point. He served months in prison. It was a crime. So he's lying or stupid or both. It's all pretty difficult to square with the GOP's rhetoric about Biden, including last week's House Oversight Committee report. Quote, "The authority to grant pardons is not provided to the president's inner circle, nor can it be delegated to a particular staff when a president's competency is in question." The report also faulted the Biden administration for giving the Democratic president talking points to discuss his more controversial pardons. It intimated that this suggested Biden hadn't played a major role in them. Quote, "It is striking that President Biden needed any note cards or talking points to talk about his son's pardon, especially about a decision recently made about him," the report said. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer suggested the fact that the pardons were presented to Biden in memo form suggested he wasn't involved enough. Quote, "Some staffer could type a memo, then Joe Biden would read the memo authorizing the use of the auto pen and then sign his initial, and then someone use that memo," said James Comer, the Kentucky Republican, said to Jake Tapper. Pressed Monday by CNN's Manu Raju to account for the similarities between what the oversight report alleged about Biden and what Trump said on 60 Minutes, Johnson said, "I don't know about that." Again, we played that clip. Even Trump himself has attacked Biden for allegedly knowing too little about his own pardons. Quote, "I would say they're null and void, because I'm sure Biden didn't have any idea it was taking place," Trump told reporters aboard Air Force One in March. Trump added in a social media post the next day, quote, "In other words, Joe Biden did not sign them, but more importantly, he did not know anything about them." Fast forward nearly 8 months, and Trump seems to be making a similar argument for himself. Not only has he insisted he doesn't know much about one of his most controversial pardons to date, but he also didn't seem to have any idea what a reporter was talking about when questioned on the topic. Despite the similarities, we probably shouldn't hold our breath for the GOP-led House Oversight Committee to launch a similar probe into Trump. And that is why it is profoundly important that if and when Democrats retake the House, they commit publicly. They say, listen, we're going to investigate this. We're going to do it in public. We're going to do it loudly. We're going to do it on television. We're not going to do it behind the scenes. We're not going to do it subtly and with grace. We're not going to do it with dignity. We are going to do what Republicans would do if the shoe was on the other foot. And I just think it's hilarious that we are now at a point where even a fucking Fox News host is like, yeah, we kind of set ourselves up for that one. If we're going to complain about Biden and the auto pen and the pardons, and yeah, Trump set himself up to endure the same sort of scrutiny. And yet I doubt that most of his other Fox News colleagues will take that same posture. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.